Welcome to our Braintalk podcast. This is an episode with our cooperation partner Net4Tech, a collaborative platform and global network for the promotion of women's careers and diverse teams in Mint and digital business. For this purpose, we publish an episode once a month within our cooperation on the topic Power of Diversity.
Net4Tech connects female talents with executives and companies and supports careers across different life phases. Because more women in all management levels means more innovative power and competitiveness of companies.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Braintalk. Thanks to every one of you who turn up every Sunday to listen, to learn, and to grow with us. Our goal is not only to share our knowledge with you, but also to find experts who helps us to innovate and think differently and redefine the way we live our life. And today's guest is going to do just that. Julia Baumanns is business partner at Net4Tech and technical delivery manager at Microsoft. With a background in international business, she has worked and lived in 6 different countries and speaks 6 different languages. She considers herself as global citizen, and we are happy to have her today as guest at Braintalk. Julia, thank you for joining us and taking your time for today.
Thank you both. No, I'm really excited to be today at the Braintalk podcast. Thank you.
So let's start with your international expansion aim for Net4Tech. My first question would be, what was your motivation to join Net4Tech and what is your intention there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So it basically was at the beginning of 2018 that I was thinking, what is actually my impact here? I moved to Dublin end of 2015. And I realized that Dublin is a great melting pot of a lot of young talents from all over EMEA, since we have basically all the main technology companies working here or being located here. So they attract a lot of young professionals, young talents from every age, and especially many people who just finished their studies. So I realized that there's a huge potential for us, for everyone involved actually. So then I thought, okay, what can I do to really make an impact into everyone's life? And at the same time, it happened that I saw the initiative that Begonia was setting up with 2 other founders. So I reached out to them and we had a little brainstorming and to find out more what Net4Tech is and if that's something that I could join and also start implementing here in Dublin. So that was kind of the idea behind, to really also have a platform for young professionals here in Ireland, but not only young professionals, also any female throughout their career and really promote their careers. And not only females, but to promote team diversity. And that's something I think that's very important because we can really build a foundation here. And what I've also noticed that after 2 or 3 years, the majority of the expats who come to Dublin, most likely they're going back into their countries, into their home countries, or would go somewhere else. So what is actually a possibility for me and for Net4Tech to ensure that we build a foundation and that they carry it on into their countries and continue their career throughout their lifespan.
And which activities have you done so far? I mean, you told us already about your projects and what kind of idea you have or what you have planned for Net4Tech. But tell our community maybe about one project or one story which really inspires you during this time at Net4Tech.
There are 2 different aspects here. So on one hand, of course, it's the community building. And we have organized different sets of STEM talks. That's how we called it here. So it was evening events where like little get-togethers. We met in a pub and people were exchanging, were networking, and we had also different types of guests there who just had like a little impulse speech on around their career and just showcasing how much of a role model you can be And here I would like to bring up the example of a very talented lady who has done completely different types of careers in her life so far. And just recently, she finished a degree in computer science and is now looking to go back. I think after 8-9 years here in Dublin, she would like to move back to Germany in this case. And I think with the help of Net4Tech, we not only have given her a platform and like a platform, a stage where she can showcase herself as a role model, for instance, but also to give her all the inspiration that she got from so many different people when she networked to really grow and kind of go for the next level into her career. So that's something that always inspires me when I see her. She's a really great lady. And then the second aspect is as well of what we have done so far. It's really to grow Net4Tech also in terms of teams, so of our internal team. So we have found an ambassador here who's also very active in the community and supports me and setting up everything. Because, I mean, on one hand, yes, I'm also expanding Net4Tech in Dublin. But on the other hand, also together with Begonia, I'm the business partner. And we also have a lot of topics on the plate in regards to working with Net4Tech and let it grow, and there's kind of so many different aspects. So it's very strategic on one hand, but also very operational. So it's the juggle in between.
Yeah, and you already told us you're alone in Dublin so far. So from your point of view, what is your future outlook for Net4Tech then? So what is the main goal you want to achieve in the next, I don't know, 1 or 2 years? Let's say that.
Yeah. So at the moment there's another girl with a lady with me who's supporting me in the ambassador work here in Dublin. However, the plan is really to expand the ambassadorship within Dublin. And here I would also like to have many different people, not only women, actually. I would also love to see a man as an ambassador and to also have a great mix of companies in there involved, right? That's something that I would like to focus on. And there are some discussions ongoing, but I think I'm happy to, if anyone is interested, please give me a shout. I'm looking forward to see what's happening there. But yeah, and what we are also trying to do in Dublin is at the moment to work on a bigger event that we would like to roll out over the next year or so, and it's called Business Creaton, and it's some sort of mini hackathon, but also like an ideation workshop, like a source, a place where a lot of inspiration and ideas can grow. That's a bigger event that we're actually planning, so we would like to roll this out in Dublin as well. But that's something, speaking of maybe in the next 6 to 12 months. And of course, this is all impacted by COVID-19 as well. So that's something, an external factor that we can't influence. However, what we are doing at the moment is to have a lot of virtual meetings, so our virtual morning sessions. And we are also going to expand our entrepreneur training, which we are going to do virtually as well. So I think here it's a great mix, because then we are not only concentrating on the German region or the Irish region, but we can do both, and or then at some stage also have the entrepreneur training live, like in person and not virtually. So that's something that we are planning to do.
So so that means you are also going to be more digital, which is good. You went through an incredible career. How did you make your way into the digital world?
My way, yeah. That's a very good question, actually. And I was thinking about this. How did this happen that I end up here? Because as you said in the very beginning, my background is more international business, of course. And I actually started off in the hospitality industry, which was, of course, something completely different.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was very curious then after my master's. So I was working a few years and then stopped working to do my master's again. I was like mainly driven by curiosity to think, okay, what's next? What could be the next step. I don't really want to go like the logical steps like other people in my study were doing who are working in consultancy now and or going back to hospitality, because this was somehow too logic for me. And I'm really more driven by this by the out of the comfort zone, actually. That's something that always pushes me and motivates me. I actually was super active on LinkedIn. I'm actually still very active there. So, and what I mean by being active, it's not just having an up-to-date profile and looking every now and then into LinkedIn and what's happening. But I was really active in communities and different groups and kind of trying, like reading a lot, commenting a lot, and to also just get a feeling on what's happening at the moment in the industries out there. And then it happened that someone actually approached me who was not a recruiter, which I found very interesting, who came across my profile and thought, okay, she might be a good fit for our company. So we had a chat, and well, thanks to him, so to say, they offered me a job in Oracle in Dublin. And back then I just moved. I finished the studies in Sweden, and I was kind of like with a big question mark left. Okay, where to go next? Like the world is so big, so there were so many choices. But when I had the offer with Oracle in Dublin, I thought, okay, why not? Actually, I've never been to Ireland, but everyone who has been here before, everyone loved it. I haven't heard anyone coming back from Dublin saying, I didn't like the city. So, and also with Oracle, I thought, well, it's an American company, multinational. I can learn a lot, definitely. They have a lot of resources available. And what's the worst case that happens? If I don't like it, if it doesn't turn out for me, I can always go back and always look for other alternatives. So, so I went for the unknown, had a lot of training, and I really loved it. And I mean, I've almost spent 2 years there. So, that was a really great example of how I ended up in the technology world without really knowing it beforehand.
That's really interesting, of course, because I think in our age and our generation, we really underestimate the power of something like LinkedIn or communities or networking, but we will talk about that later. Just an interesting question, I think, for our listeners also. How do you collaborate in these times, especially during COVID-19? How do you do that? You told us something about this virtual morning sessions. Are there other formats which you can inform us about?
That's a very good question. Thank you very much. Yes. So I think nowadays there are no barriers anymore. Like in my day-to-day job, I am leading a team that is based in the UK and I'm based in Ireland. And how is this possible? Just thanks to technology. So that's definitely a way of working that many people wouldn't have imagined kind of 10, 15 years ago, I would say. So, so of course, in Microsoft, we use a lot of Microsoft Teams. We have our virtual team set up. There's a lot of exchange going on in between the different channels, and we do a lot of video calling. And what I've noticed during, especially since COVID-19, I mean, even before, people were turning on the videos a little bit more, but I think the fact now that we can't see each other physically anymore, really everyone turns on the video. And I find this really great because it gives you this personal touch, right? Even though you know the other person, but what if you don't know the other person yet? And I started my job on the 1st of April, just in the middle of this whole pandemic. So, of course, I don't know the team at all, right? I haven't met them yet. I don't know their personalities. And that's something usually where you get the feeling for when you meet in person. But I think because of this very special time and the fact that we have turned on the videos, you can look at each other's eye and you can kind of do realize some these fine linings in between. And that's something that was not that possible before, right? So, I think that's definitely a good case that we have the technology in place for this.
Yeah, and if we just look at the last few years, it's not only because of COVID-19, but also because of the technology, what you said. So many businesses have changed, many enterprises, and especially in the last few months, What are you thinking about the changes that we are going through? What does it mean for especially the companies? In which time are we right now?
Yes, I think it's super exciting, and that's something also why I feel so comfortable working in technology. So in my previous job, I was a key account manager for Microsoft as well, in for the Swiss customers. So I was working with 60 customers within the manufacturing space. Of course, manufacturing, you might think, that's kind of old-fashioned. They just saying it all in stereotypical way, of course, right? Sorry, dear customers. No, but just when you think of manufacturing, you would say that's like an industry that's rather large, and what is it actually that they can do an impact on? And I think what was very interesting was that we have one of the customers who are really changing their entire business completely, right? And that's something that that also Satya Nadella, the Microsoft CEO, kept saying, that in the future, like in the near future, actually within the next 5 years, almost every company will change their business strategy towards like a more digital strategy, and also at some stage will turn into software companies themselves. So, and what I mean by this was like, to give you an example. So one of my customers used to be quite a big Swiss sewing machine manufacturer. And with sewing machines, people think of like, oh yeah, this is quite an old-fashioned business. Who's still buying sewing machines? I mean, once you buy a sewing machine, you have it forever. Especially, of course, the Swiss sewing machines, right? They're like the Ferrari among the sewing machines. And but how can they actually change their business and make it attractive also for the young people, right? And for like the next generations to come. So what they have done was they really implemented IoT into their sewing machines, right? Which I think is super exciting and fantastic. And it's just a really cool example of what we can do, or what customers can do, and how much impact every one of us has, right? They have installed these IoT connection points with the sewing machine. They have have implemented the big displays into the sewing machine and a USB drive. The sewing machines are connected with the internet. So on one hand, what the consumer can do is the consumer can upload their patterns, their sewing patterns that they would like to do, put it in either via USB stick, or they have invented the platform where the customers can actually then upload, or directly from the internet, put in their sewing pattern that they would like to do. And this sewing pattern directly transfers to the sewing machine, right? So then there's like no real manual process anymore to check, okay, what's the pattern and how do I need to do this? So I find this super innovative. Like, this is I'm really actually proud on what they have achieved. So that's kind of an example of how the company is changing their business slowly, and this change in the business goes to every department within this company. And that's something where I can proudly say that we in Microsoft actually support the customer on their journey and on this change.
I have another question which is not on our list. It was something spontaneous which came into my mind right now. Do you think some companies are still resistant towards changes in IT or being innovative, or do you think everybody knows that he or she has to change their business?
Very good question. I think there's a huge level of resistance among everyone in us, because that's just a typical habit of us. Like, no one really likes change, right? Even if it's just like if you're using a different toothpaste, people at the beginning are kind of, no, I like the other one before, right? So, and these are kind of just simple examples. And what we've noticed is that especially many old IT departments, they are reluctant to change in the way that their jobs might be kind of redundant at some stage, that they're not as important anymore, right? And the majority of the change is really driven from the business, from the employees working in the different departments, who said, no, we actually want modern, cool technology where we can collaborate more. We want this, we want that. Our customers want this. So it's really kind of the tricky thing is how can we make them all work together towards a common goal, right? And that's why we have many times the conversations directly with the management to really drive this change from the top.
So our last question for you. We recently noticed that you have taken on a new role. First of all, congratulations on that. But tell us and our audience why and how it happened. I think this would be very interesting how you got your new position.
Yeah, thank you for your interest, actually. Yeah, and here again, it's really the power of networking, and that's something that I can't highlight enough for everyone, right? So I'm a fan, and that's maybe also my German trait that comes along with me. I'm a fan of planning things strategically, and with planning, I mean, yes, you can make some sort of plans, but these are kind of more guidelines in which direction you could potentially go, and that's something where I think it's important to know what are you actually working for, like what's the next step that you would like to achieve. Yeah, since 1.5 years actually, I know that I would like to pursue a career as a people manager as my next step. But before I knew this, I had a lot of conversations and a lot of talks. Among others, it happened that I had lunch with a few colleagues. And I mean, I'm fortunate that I work in Microsoft in the office where we have 2,000 employees sitting. So you can imagine that our canteen is quite large.
Yeah.
So, and then it happens, of course, that you have lunch with people, or like that people sit at your table who you don't know yet. And I mean, also thanks to the Irish colleagues. Irish colleagues are actually very chatty, and the culture as such is very open. And I ended up talking to this lady who was sitting at just across from me, and it was interesting to ask her where she's working. And we agreed that we will have a coffee as kind of to deepen our conversation. We had that, and we exchanged, and she was also very interested in what my future goals are. And I spoke to her that, yes, I would be, I'm actually still thinking about whether or not I should go into people management, and that I have different options in place. And this meeting, I think, has happened roughly like 2 years ago, something like that. And every now and then I did see a colleague like on the hallway or at a big conference, like we bumped into each other, we greeted each other, which was, it was great. And it happened that then at some stage, a couple of months ago, I got a message of her saying, "Hey, Julia, are you actually still interested in the management role? We have an open position in our team. And I've already told everything to the director. Just send me your CV."
That's so crazy.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. And exactly. And then, I mean, of course, this is just the first step. And I didn't get the job just because she recommended me. I do had to go through a set of interviews, had like 5 long interviews with everyone, with many different people involved. And also from my end to really kind of understand the new position, the new role, the new organization within Microsoft where I'm in right now. So I really wanted to make sure that's something that I would like to do. But the first step, just to be thrown into the pot of potential candidates, I think that's really huge, and that's something. Networking doesn't necessarily pay off right away, but I think that's something that should never be underestimated, and that can be, I mean, done kind of live in person, like I did there, but also virtually, right? And I mean, this lady did see me on LinkedIn quite regularly, so she also saw how active I am with Net4Tech. That's something that you should not underestimate, and I think it's very important. It's like a give and take. So now I need to think how I can support her in the future, of course.
I think this is really crazy, and on the other side, really interesting, because you said something which is really important, the long-time strategic side of networking, which is really underestimated by so many people. They think they know a few people from, I don't know, a big company, and think they can go in there with a vitamin B or something. But so networking are really, really important, and just also virtually, as Julia said. And I think you made a really, really good point for everyone who has not started yet with networking. He or she should start now with that. And many, many thanks, Julia, for this interesting conversation with you in the interview, for taking your time for us and for our listeners to show them your point of view.
Great. Thank you very much, Moni and Shari. It was really, really good to be there this morning. And if you listeners, if you're inspired as well, please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn and or Xing. Of course, I'm available there. I'm looking forward to your connections and as well as having you as members in Net for Tech. So please feel free to join our network. Thank you.